Let me ask you a simple question. If someone handed you $1,000,000 today, could you keep it? Because here's the truth. You don't get wealthy by accident, and you don't stay wealthy without the mindset to match. Most people want the lifestyle of a millionaire, but they never train for it. They want the money, but not the discipline. They want the rewards, but they avoid the responsibilities. See, the money will follow the mind. That's the secret. You must become the kind of person success is looking for. So today we're going to work on the most valuable asset you have. Not your job, not your car, not your bank account, your mindset. In the next few minutes, I'm going to share the exact mental shifts that millionaires practice daily, quietly, consistently, relentlessly. Not theories, not fluff, but real philosophies that change lives. This is your wake-up call. If you want to live like the top 1%, you have to start thinking like the top 1%. And that begins right now. Let's get to work. Upgrade your mental software. Let's talk about the operating system of your life, your mind. Because here's what I learned years ago. You can't install millionaire results on minimum wage thinking. Now I want you to imagine your brain like a computer. It's running software. Some of it you chose. Most of it was installed without your permission. The way you think about money, the way you see yourself, how you react to pressure, failure, and success. That's all software. Mental programming. And the big question is, who wrote it? Your parents? Your school? The news? Maybe the crowd you hang around? If you don't program your own mind, someone else will do it for you. And chances are they won't aim very high. Now what separates the average from the exceptional is not talent. It's not luck. It's mental architecture. Millionaires don't think like everyone else. They ask better questions. They run better routines. They build better beliefs. Poor minds talk problems. Rich minds talk philosophy. Let me give you an example. A poor mindset says, why does this always happen to me? A wealthy mindset says, what can I learn from this, and how can I use it? One creates pity. The other creates power. And you get to choose. So, how do we begin the upgrade? Let me give you 3 simple disciplines. Start doing these every day, and over time, your mind will begin to shift. Discipline 1. Start feeding your mind better food. Read good books, not gossip, not clickbait. I mean wisdom. Even 10 pages a day can turn your entire philosophy around in a year. Skip a meal, but not your reading. Why? Because your philosophy feeds your future. Discipline 2. Audit your input sources. You can't expect to feel powerful if you're constantly consuming fear. You can't expect to think rich if you surround yourself with broke thinking. Be ruthless about what you allow into your mind. Ask yourself, does this educate me, elevate me, or just entertain me? If it's not building you, it's breaking you. Discipline 3. Replace default thoughts with designed thoughts. Most people wake up and think the same thoughts as yesterday. Then they wonder why nothing changes. Start every morning with this question. Who do I need to become today to match the future I want? The most powerful thoughts are intentional ones, designed on purpose, and spoken aloud with belief. Write your new beliefs. Say them daily. Not because it's magic, but because it's mental software. And repetition is the download button. Let me leave you with a truth I'll never forget. If you want your income to grow, if you want your influence to expand, if you want your life to rise, it starts in your thinking. Your mind is either a tool or a trap, a weapon or a weakness, and you are the one who decides. So don't just wish for better. Install better and watch the results catch up to the person you're becoming. Let's keep going. Cultivate the millionaire attitude. If you want to change your life, you have to start by changing your attitude. Because attitude is not just how you feel, it's how you face the world. It's your posture. It's your philosophy in motion. You can have the skills, you can have the degree, but if your attitude is wrong, everything else breaks down. Now here's the key. You don't get paid for showing up. You get paid for showing up with the right mindset. A mindset that says, I'm responsible, I'm ready, I'm here to add value. Millionaires understand this. They don't just think differently. They carry themselves differently. They walk into a room with purpose. They approach problems with curiosity. They face setbacks with composure. So let's ask the question, how do you develop that kind of attitude? Let me give you the 3 foundational traits of the millionaire mindset. Simple, but not easy. Powerful, if practiced daily. First, confidence without arrogance. Millionaires believe in themselves, not because they're perfect, but because they've prepared. They've worked, they've trained their mind to look for solutions, not just problems. They don't brag, they don't bluff, but they walk tall because they've earned it. Second, humility without weakness. A wealthy attitude is teachable. It listens. It learns. It asks questions. Because no matter how far you've come, there's always another level. The arrogant think they know it all. The wise know there's always more to master. And third, resilience without complaint. You can't have a millionaire attitude and be a professional complainer. You can't win long-term if you're addicted to blaming, whining, or waiting. Millionaires get knocked down just like everybody else. But they don't stay there. They rise. They refocus. They rebuild. Why? Because they've trained their mind to respond instead of react. They control their attitude so they can control their outcome. Let me give you a question you should ask yourself every day. What's my attitude costing me or creating for me? If your attitude is negative, it's repelling opportunities. If it's positive, it's opening doors before you even speak. And here's the truth. Nobody else can change it for you. Your attitude is your responsibility. It's your power. And it's either building your future or blocking it. So make the decision today. Carry yourself like the person you're becoming. Talk like a leader. Think like an owner. Show up like someone who expects success, not out of luck, but out of discipline. The right attitude won't guarantee success, but the wrong attitude will always guarantee failure. Train your mind to walk with confidence, speak with wisdom, and act with resilience. That's how you cultivate the millionaire attitude. Let's move on. Think long-term, act today. If there's one mindset that separates the wealthy from the average, it's this: millionaires think in decades. Most people think in days. The average person wants to feel good now. The millionaire wants to build something that still pays off later. Let me tell you something important. You can either choose what feels good now, or you can choose what feels good for the rest of your life. But rarely both at the same time. Success is never built on impulse. It's built on intention. And intention requires vision. The kind of vision that looks ahead 5, 10, even 20 years, and says what I do today matters to that future. Now most people don't live like this. They chase weekends. They count down to vacations. They think success is somewhere later, but live like it's never coming. And that's why nothing changes. Millionaires wake up with a mission. They make decisions today that their future self will thank them for. They don't need motivation. They have direction, because they've already seen the destination. So how do you begin to think long-term and act today? Start with this. Create a 5-year vision. Where do you want to be financially? Physically, mentally, relationally? Be specific. Write it down. Picture it in your mind. Then ask this powerful question. What do I need to start doing today to get there? Because here's the key. Vision without execution is just imagination. You need to tie your goals to your habits. The future you want is built by the actions you take right now. So if you want to be healthy in 5 years, eat better today. If you want to be wealthy in 5 years, start investing today. If you want to be wise in 5 years, start reading today. The long term is shaped in the short term. The future is built in the present. Let me give you a little test. Look at your calendar. Look at your to-do list. Is it filled with distractions or with deposits into your future? Are you building a life or escaping one? Because every day you're either planting seeds or pulling weeds. The person who plays the short game might win today, but the person who plays the long game builds a legacy. Millionaires don't ask, what can I get now? They ask, what can I build now, so I never have to beg later? Remember, the future doesn't belong to the lucky. It belongs to the prepared. So make the shift. From fast to focused. From busy to intentional. From wishing to working. Think long term. Act today. And give your future something to be proud of. Let's keep going. Choose growth over comfort. Let me share a truth with you. Success and comfort do not live on the same street. You'll have to choose one. Now most people choose comfort. They don't say it out loud, but they live it. They avoid pain. They avoid pressure. They stay where it's safe, where it's easy, where it's familiar. But here's the problem. Comfort never leads to greatness. Comfort is a trap disguised as a reward. You were not designed to stay the same. You were designed to grow, to stretch, to break limits, and build strength. Millionaires understand this. They chase growth, not ease. They put themselves in the uncomfortable situations that produce new skills, new thinking, and new results. They do the hard things. The workouts when they don't feel like it. The meetings that require courage. The discipline to say no when everyone else says yes. Why? Because they know this. Growth is not convenient. Growth is earned. And every time you choose it over comfort, you invest in a better version of yourself. So let me ask you, When was the last time you did something hard on purpose? Not because you had to, but because you chose to. That's where transformation begins. When you stop running from difficulty and start running into it, because that's where your edge is. That's where your next level lives. It's easy to stay the same, but nothing changes when you do. If you want more, you must become more. And that requires growth. Real growth. Stretching past the excuses. Showing up when it's hard. Doing the reps, mentally and physically. Let me give you a simple principle. Growth feels uncomfortable in the moment, but it feels incredible in the mirror. Comfort feels good now, but it steals from your future. You must decide which one you're going to serve. Your feelings or your future. Because you cannot chase success and cling to comfort. One has to go. So here's your challenge. Start doing one uncomfortable thing every day. Have that tough conversation. Take that risk. Wake up an hour earlier. Practice that skill until it's sharp. Read the book that stretches your thinking and remind yourself. You don't grow by doing what's easy. You grow by doing what's necessary. Comfort is a cage. Growth is a door. Choose the one that leads you forward. Let's move on. Master self-talk and inner dialogue. If there's one voice you'll hear more than any other in your lifetime, it's your own. And that voice, that running conversation in your head, is either building your future or tearing it down. Most people never learn to manage their self-talk. They speak to themselves with doubt, fear, criticism, and limitation. Then they wonder why their confidence disappears, why their results stay small, why they feel stuck. Let me give you something to think about. You can't plant negative thoughts and expect a positive life. You can't speak limitation and expect abundance. Your inner voice is either your personal coach or your quiet enemy. Millionaires understand this. They're not just careful with their money, they're careful with their mindset. They monitor the conversation happening between their own ears, and they take charge of it. Because they know the way you talk to yourself, that's the way you build yourself. So how do you master your self-talk? Start with awareness. Catch yourself in the act. When you say, I can't do this, I'm not ready, I always mess things up. Stop. Pause. Ask, would I speak to a friend like this? Then why would I speak to myself like this? Here's what I want you to do. Replace the inner critic with an inner coach. Change I can't to I'm learning. Change I'm not good enough to I'm getting stronger every day. Change this is too hard to this is how I grow. Words matter, especially the ones you repeat, especially the ones you believe. Speak life into your own mind, and life will flow out into your results. Let me give you a tool. Every morning declare 3 truths about yourself. Not based on where you are, but based on where you're going. Say them out loud, write them down, repeat them with certainty. Something like, I take responsibility for my life. I am becoming more focused and disciplined every day. I am building a mindset worthy of success. This isn't about pretending, it's about programming. You're not faking confidence, you're forming it. And here's the final key. Speak what you want to become, not just what you feel. Because feelings come and go, but vision will carry you through the valleys. So speak as the person you're becoming. Talk like someone who expects growth. Encourage yourself like someone who refuses to quit. The way you talk to yourself will either train you or trap you. Make it your greatest strength, and watch how everything else begins to follow. Let's continue. Build your wealth vocabulary. Let me ask you a question. How do you speak when no one's listening? Because your words are not just sounds, they are signals. And those signals are shaping your beliefs, your actions, and your future. You see, wealth doesn't just live in the bank. It begins in your language. Your vocabulary either opens the door to abundance or locks you into limitation. Most people speak like they're broke, not just financially, but mentally. They use words of fear, words of doubt, words of excuse. They say, I can't afford that. That's too risky. Money isn't everything. Or worse, I'll never be rich. Now let me give you a principle. Every time you speak, you're programming your mind. And you can't speak like a victim and expect to live like a victor. Millionaires are very intentional with their words. They've trained themselves to speak in a way that matches their goals. Not just around others, but in the conversations they have with themselves. Instead of saying, I can't afford that, they say, how can I afford that? Instead of I'm stuck, they say, what's the next move? Instead of that's impossible, they ask, what would make it possible? Do you hear the difference? One vocabulary closes doors. The other vocabulary opens them. Your words reflect your mindset, and your mindset shapes your outcomes. So how do you build a wealth vocabulary? First, eliminate scarcity language. Get rid of phrases like, I'm not lucky, I always mess things up. It's too late for me. These are not just harmless statements. They are self-fulfilling prophecies. Replace them with language of growth and ownership. Say things like, I'm improving every day. I haven't mastered it yet, but I'm committed. I create opportunities with discipline and focus. Second, expand your financial vocabulary. Learn the language of money. Read about wealth. Understand words like assets, equity, leverage, cash flow, investment. Because what you understand, you can grow. And what you avoid, you remain a stranger to. Most people fear wealth because they don't understand it. And they don't understand it because they never talk about it. At least not constructively. So make it normal to talk about financial growth. Make it normal to say things like, I'm planning for abundance. I'm learning to invest wisely. I'm managing my money like a steward, not a spender. And third, protect your speech environment. The people you talk to every day will either raise your vocabulary or lower it. If your circle complains more than they commit, you're picking up their language. If they mock ambition, you'll start shrinking yours. Surround yourself with conversations that stretch you. Listen to people who speak from discipline, not defeat, because words are contagious. So choose the ones worth catching. Let me leave you with this. You are always speaking yourself into a future. Make sure the words you use are worthy of where you want to go. Talk like someone who expects wealth. Speak like someone preparing for success. Build a vocabulary that lifts, not limits. Because the tongue is the steering wheel of the mind. Use it wisely, and it'll carry you farther than you ever imagined. Let's move forward. Guard your circle like a fortune. If I could only give you one piece of advice about success, just one, it would be this. Be careful who you spend your time with. Because your circle, your environment, your associations, they are shaping you, whether you see it or not. You don't become wealthy by accident, and you don't stay stuck by accident either. Both are influenced by the people you allow into your life. Now, most people underestimate this. They say, oh, it doesn't matter. I make my own decisions. But let me tell you something. If 5 people around you are always negative, always complaining, always blaming, guess what you'll start doing? You'll start speaking like them, thinking like them, living like them, and you won't even notice it until it's too late. Here's the rule. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you want to level up, you've got to look around and ask who's building me and who's breaking me. Millionaires are intentional about their circle. They guard it like a treasure. Not because they're arrogant, but because they're focused. They spend time with people who talk ideas, not just gossip. People who challenge them, not just comfort them. People who inspire them, not just entertain them. Because growth requires accountability, and accountability requires quality relationships. So how do you build the right circle? First, audit your current one. Ask yourself, after I leave a conversation with this person, am I better, more focused, more disciplined, or do I feel drained, discouraged, and distracted? If someone is constantly pulling you down, they don't belong in your inner circle. You can love people without letting them lead your life. Second, seek proximity to greatness. You don't always need to know successful people personally. You can read their books, listen to their podcasts, study their habits. Let their mindset become your mentorship. In the beginning, your mentors may live in pages and recordings, but over time, as you grow, so will your access. And third, build your own circle with intention. Invite people into your life who are going where you're going. People who will call you higher. People who don't settle for average, and won't let you settle either. Your future depends on who you allow close to you. That's not selfish. That's wisdom. You wouldn't let just anyone manage your money, so don't let just anyone manage your mindset. Be kind to everyone, but walk closely with the few who reflect your values, your vision, and your goals. Because iron sharpens iron, but so does rust. Surround yourself with builders, not just believers. People who stretch your thinking, strengthen your habits, and celebrate your growth. Remember, your circle is either your anchor or your engine. So guard it like a fortune, because it is. Let's keep going. Educate yourself beyond school. Formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. Let that sink in. Now, I'm not here to knock school. School gives you the basics. Reading, writing, arithmetic. But if you stop learning when the diploma comes, you've already signed up for a life of limitation. The truth is, the real world doesn't reward degrees. It rewards value. And value comes from what you know, what you apply, and who you become along the way. Most people finish school and stop studying. They go from reading books to scrolling screens, from writing ideas to watching entertainment, from curiosity to comfort, but not millionaires. Millionaires keep learning long after the classroom is gone. They understand something most people don't. Success is not a one-time lesson. It's a lifelong curriculum. Every year, every season, every challenge, they're still learning. They read books, they listen to audio, they study winners, they ask questions, they take notes, they reflect, because every new level requires a new mindset, and that mindset must be built through learning. So how do you start educating yourself beyond school? First, commit to lifelong learning. Read at least one good book every month. Not fiction, unless it teaches you something. Read about mindset, read about money, read about leadership, read about people, because people are your greatest opportunity and your greatest challenge. Second, learn from results, not just from theories. The world is full of opinions. But don't just listen to people with big voices. Listen to people with big outcomes. Who has built something real? Who has overcome something hard? Who has the fruit you want? That's who you learn from. Third, apply what you learn. Don't just collect knowledge. Use it. It's not what you know that changes your life. It's what you do with what you know. Learn a principle. Test it. Practice it. Adjust. Repeat. Let it become part of your behavior, not just your bookshelf. Fourth, create a learning routine. Set aside time every day, even if it's just 15 minutes. 15 minutes of focused learning over 1 year can give you the edge that most people never reach in a lifetime. And finally, teach what you learn, because the best way to master something is to share it with someone else. It forces you to clarify, to organize, to truly understand. So teach your kids, teach your team, teach yourself by repeating what matters. Here's the truth. The world is changing fast. Technology, markets, communication. If you're not growing, you're falling behind. But if you stay curious, stay humble, and stay consistent, there's no limit to how far you can go. Don't just go to school. Live like a student, because the best investment you'll ever make is the one you make in your mind. Let's move forward. Adopt the entrepreneurial mindset. You don't have to own a business to think like an entrepreneur, but you do have to think like one if you want to own your future, because the entrepreneurial mindset isn't about a title. It's not about a fancy office or your name on the door. It's a way of seeing the world, a way of thinking, a way of solving problems instead of becoming one. You see, employees wait for direction. Entrepreneurs look for opportunities. Employees focus on tasks. Entrepreneurs focus on outcomes. Now here's what most people miss. Even if you work a 9-to-5 job, you can still bring an entrepreneurial spirit to everything you do. You can think like an owner. You can lead with initiative. You can take responsibility like the business depends on you. Because in many ways, it does. The most valuable people in any organization are the ones who think beyond the paycheck. They ask, how can I add more value? How can I improve the system? How can I solve this problem faster, smarter, better? That's the mindset that gets promoted. That's the mindset that builds wealth. That's the mindset that creates freedom. So how do you adopt this way of thinking? First, stop waiting to be told what to do. Entrepreneurs don't wait for permission. They see a gap and fill it. They see a need and meet it. They take initiative before anyone asks. Ask yourself daily, where can I lead today? Where can I make something better? Where can I step up and take ownership? Second, stop thinking in hours. Start thinking in value. You don't get rich by working more hours. You get rich by increasing your contribution, by doing what matters, by producing results. So don't just focus on staying busy. Focus on staying valuable, because in the marketplace, value always gets rewarded. Third, embrace risk, but make it calculated. Entrepreneurs don't fear failure. They use it. They understand that setbacks are part of the process, that you learn more by doing than by dreaming. Don't wait for everything to be perfect. Make a decision, test, learn, adjust. That's how momentum is created. Fourth, solve problems. That's what entrepreneurs do best. They don't complain. They don't point fingers. They ask, what's the solution? What's the next move? The world pays high for people who can solve problems with confidence and creativity. And finally, think in terms of building, not just earning. Entrepreneurs build systems. They build teams. They build assets. They're not just working in life. They're working on life. So here's the challenge. Stop thinking like a worker. Start thinking like a builder. Because builders leave a legacy. And builders never go broke. Even when they fail, they learn, rebuild, and rise again. Remember, you don't need a business to think like an entrepreneur. You just need a standard, a commitment to excellence, a refusal to wait around for someone else to create your future. Think like an owner, act like a leader, and live like your results depend on you. Because they do. Let's continue. Learn to handle money like the wealthy. You don't get wealthy by earning more. You get wealthy by handling well what you already have. Let me repeat that. It's not about the income. It's about the intention. Because if you mismanage a little, you'll mismanage a lot. Money doesn't change your habits. It reveals them. Most people think their problem is income, but in truth it's discipline. They don't have a money problem. They have a management problem. Millionaires understand something simple. Money is a tool, a servant, a resource, a multiplier. But if you don't learn to control it, it will always control you. So let's talk about how the wealthy handle money. Not just how they make it, but how they respect it, track it, and grow it. First, they have a plan. Every dollar has a direction. They don't spend emotionally. They don't live impulsively. They decide ahead of time what to save, what to invest, what to give, and what to spend. If your money isn't managed with purpose, it will vanish with pressure. Second, they track everything. The wealthy know their numbers. They know where their money goes. They review. They reflect. They adjust. Most people avoid their bank statement like it's bad news. But the wealthy treat it like a scoreboard. Not to shame themselves, but to stay sharp. Because what you don't measure, you can't multiply. Third, they invest. Not just in stocks or real estate, but in themselves. Books, skills, mentors, knowledge, health. They see every dollar spent on growth as a seed. They understand this truth. Money flows to prepared minds and disciplined hands, so they stay ready. Fourth, they don't chase appearance. They're not trying to impress. They're trying to build. The car, the clothes, the status, those come later. But first, they master the fundamentals. Live like no one else now, so you can live like no one else later. Fifth, they delay gratification. If it doesn't serve the goal, they say no. Not because they can't afford it, but because they know the long-term return is more valuable than the short-term pleasure. Let me give you a rule of thumb. If you can't manage $100 with wisdom, you're not ready for 100,000. The number doesn't make you smarter. It just makes your decisions louder. So what can you do? Starting now. Build a basic budget. Know where your money is going. Start saving, even if it's small. Start investing and learning, even if it's slow. Treat every dollar like a decision, because that's what it is. Money is a mirror. It reflects your habits, your mindset, your priorities. The wealthy don't worship money, but they do respect it. They use it. They grow it. They direct it with wisdom. You must do the same. Don't just earn more, learn more. So when more comes, you'll know exactly what to do with it. That's how the wealthy handle money. Let's keep going. Turn setbacks into fuel. Everyone wants success. Few are ready for the setbacks that come with it. But let me tell you the truth. Setbacks are not the enemy. They are the tuition you pay for real growth. Nobody builds a strong character in comfort. Nobody develops discipline when everything is easy. It's in the challenge, the crisis, the curveball, that your mindset is tested, refined, and rebuilt. Now, most people treat setbacks like stop signs. They get discouraged, they start doubting, and they quit before the lesson is learned. But not millionaires, not winners. They understand that every setback carries a seed of wisdom, a seed of clarity, a seed of strength. And if they dig deep enough, they'll find a new level of resilience buried inside the pain. Let me give you a principle. The goal is not to avoid hard things. The goal is to become the kind of person who grows through them. So how do you turn setbacks into fuel? First, change your perspective. Stop asking, why is this happening to me? Start asking, what is this trying to teach me? Every failure has something to offer, but only if you're willing to stay in the discomfort long enough to extract the wisdom. Second, detach your identity from the outcome. Just because something failed doesn't mean you are a failure. The project may have flopped. The deal may have fallen through. The plan may have changed. But you can still grow, improve, and come back stronger. Never confuse a temporary defeat with a permanent identity. Third, write it down. After every setback, reflect. What happened? What did I miss? What did I learn? And how will I respond better next time? Don't just feel the pain. Study it, because pain that's never reviewed becomes pain that's repeated. Fourth, take the next step immediately. Don't wait until you feel better. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Take a step, any step. Momentum doesn't come from motivation. It comes from movement. Even a small action taken in the middle of a setback can reignite your confidence. And finally, use your story to serve others. Your setback is someone else's survival guide. Your failure, when processed and shared with wisdom, can be a roadmap for others. Because when you rise again, you don't just rise for yourself, you become a light, a mentor, an example. That's what true leaders do. They don't hide their scars, they use them. Let me leave you with this. Setbacks are not signals to stop. They're invitations to rise, to sharpen your focus, to double your effort, to test your faith. So don't waste your struggle. Don't retreat into fear. Refuse to give up. Use the setback. Turn it into strategy. Turn it into strength. Turn it into fuel. Let's keep going. Be the person success is looking for. Success is not something you chase. It's something you attract by the person you become. Most people think success is out there, somewhere, with the right contact, the right timing, the lucky break. But that's not how it works. Success is not looking for potential. It's looking for preparation. It's looking for discipline. It's looking for maturity, character, resilience, responsibility. It's looking for someone ready to handle the weight of the rewards. The truth is, if you're not ready to become that person, even if success shows up, you won't be able to keep it. Let me give you something to think about. Your current habits are training you for the level of life you're asking for. So ask yourself, am I becoming the kind of person who can sustain what I say I want? Millionaires don't just work harder, they work on themselves. They develop habits that outlast motivation. They build routines that function without applause. They master their emotions so that pressure doesn't break them. They grow their character so that influence doesn't corrupt them. So how do you become the person success is looking for? First, master the small disciplines. Wake up early. Keep your word. Finish what you start. Show up when no one is watching. Because if you can't manage the little things, you won't be trusted with the big ones. Second, take full responsibility. No blaming, no complaining, no pointing fingers. Own your choices, own your results, own your growth. The moment you take responsibility, you take power. Third, elevate your standards. If you tolerate laziness in yourself, you'll never outrun mediocrity. Raise the bar, demand more from yourself. Hold yourself to a higher level than anyone else would. That's how leaders are built. Fourth, surround yourself with excellence. You can't grow to greatness in an average environment. Be around people who stretch your thinking, push your limits, and remind you of your potential. And finally, decide who you're going to be before the opportunity shows up. Don't wait to get the job before you become professional. Don't wait to get rich before you become disciplined. Don't wait to lead before you act like a leader. Be the person in advance, and the results will catch up. Because success is not looking for someone who wants it. It's looking for someone who's ready for it. So become that person. Every day. In private, with no audience, with no applause, with no guarantee, except the one you make to yourself. You are not waiting on success. Success is waiting on you. Let's finish strong. Make the decision. Daily. Success is not a one-time choice. It's a daily decision. Not once a year, when you make resolutions. Not once in a while when you feel motivated. But every single day, every day you decide what kind of mindset you'll carry, what kind of standards you'll keep, what kind of person you're becoming. And those decisions, they stack. They build momentum. They shape your habits. And before long, they shape your life. Now here's the truth. You won't always feel like it. There will be days when you're tired, days when it's hard, days when it feels like nothing's working. But that's the test. And that's where the separation happens. Because average waits for the mood. But the successful, they make the move. They don't let feelings lead. They let principles lead. They don't ask, do I feel like it? They ask, what's required of me today to stay aligned with the future I said I wanted? That's the difference. The decision to stay consistent, especially when it's inconvenient. You've heard the principles. You've walked through the mindset. You've studied the habits. Now it's time to choose. Not someday. Not next month. Today, train your mind like a millionaire. Daily, decide to think higher. Decide to speak stronger. Decide to grow further. Decide to act with purpose. And if you fall off track, get back up. Because the goal is not perfection. It's progress. And progress only comes from decisions, backed by discipline. So make the decision, and then make it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. That's how you win. Not with luck, not with shortcuts, but with daily decisions, made by someone who refuses to live beneath their potential. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be committed. Make the decision, daily, and don't stop until you've become the person your future requires. That's how you train your mind like a millionaire. And that's how you build a life that's worthy of the effort.